Hey, what's up? Zach here, and welcome to my new biomechanics lab that I've just built out in Columbus, Ohio. Wanted to take you around here, kind of show you what I've been working on behind the scenes for people to actually come in real life to have consults with me and get some of their, more esoteric or specific sports medicine concerns taken care of. So I got Kristen behind the camera, and we're gonna do a little studio tour. Here we go. So this workstation here is kind of like the nerve center of the biomechanics lab. Number one, honestly, the most important device I have in here, aside from all the other stuff I'll show you, is just my phone, because nowadays I scan all of my custom orthotics just with my phone, and I have all of them set up here. I really never use leather. I don't even know why I have this here, but I have all the shells and all of the top covers up here, so you can patients can stay here and see exactly what their foot is going to touch before we make it. Whereas I know sometimes you get the orthotic, you're not really sure what they're gonna feel like until you get them. Whereas with all of these samples, and especially with all the thicknesses and rigidities of custom orthotics I can make them, you can kind of show people, these athletes, what exactly they'll be in before they actually have to go out in the real world and use them. So I've got an extra tripod here. This is kind of a cheapie here, but just in case I'm filming any of my Foot Dr. Zach videos in here, I just have something I can use. But I think one of the cooler things that I've been reading a lot of books on kind of like the mind-body connection recently, and I ended up getting an Oculus 2 because I found that people, when they're, let's say I have a golfer in here and they're going through a swing, they're going to try to almost do it more correctly. I'm not even sure if that's a real word, but they're going to try to correct their swing and correct their footwork for me to show them, versus if I put them in a simulation of golf in here. Same with a tennis player or a pickleball player. If I put them in a simulation, their mind starts to recognize that they're on the court or they're on the green, and they'll actually start doing things the way they would in real life or in the wild, and I can actually isolate what is going on with their feet and be able to better treat them. So I found the Oculus has been really an outsized performer for me, and it's really helped me get to the root of a lot of problems just by putting people's minds in kind of their playing space, I should say. And then I've got two GoPros. Actually, my wife's got the one behind me, but then this is the Hero 10. And that's always on super slow-mo. And the reason I use the GoPros, I'll tell you in a minute, but I have pretty specific use for both of these. Then obviously a Brannick device to measure people's feet, and this is my computer where we kind of show patients what their feet look like. This took me about 3 weeks to build because I kept getting interrupted by my kid. And then I have all these shoelaces to show patients to get them in the right shoelaces, because shoelaces are actually a little bit more important than you would think. And then moving on over here, this is kind of all of our padding and strapping, as well as all the other stuff you could have at the office for, just regular podiatry. But all the pads and customization I can do on orthotics, a lot of times I'll actually customize them right in here. And then of course, if you're treating athletes, we've got more Coban than you can shake a stick at. So, all right, so moving on to what the GoPros are for. If you look over here, this is my gait analysis treadmill, and by that I mean it was the one that was on sale during Prime Day. It only goes up to about 12 miles per hour, but really for most people that's just fine. Sometimes I'm just watching them walk. Most of the time it's running. Sometimes I'll actually have them go side to side to see kind of what their arches are doing, going side to side, making sure their muscles are stabilizing them that way. I got all these pictures on Etsy. I wanted to keep the same vibe that was in the rest of the office, which is more like minimalist, airy, beach, desert. There's a lot of stuff. I'll put some B-roll over top of this to show you what the rest of the office looks like. But so these, I got them from the same Etsy person here, which I really like because it's just some of my favorite athletes for sure. And I definitely wanted to get more of kind of like the running inspired stuff, because a lot of the patients I see in the office are actually runners, so I wanted to make sure that was represented. And then obviously over here is my MVP for Slippery Rock University for my tennis team. Back in 2005, 2006, that was probably a sympathy MVP for my coach, Matt. Thank you. But I still show it off everywhere anyway. And my pennant. And then this was my most recent article on the technique I developed for a single incision plantar fasciotomy. So you got like one little pinprick and you can fix plantar fasciitis really fast. So my wife and I actually made this. So I'm really proud of this one because it's like the first one my wife and I collaborated on together for research. So moving on to the wall, this just lives here now because it's the only place I can find for it. But this is our microwave emitter. And what we do is we put this on the skin wherever there's a corn, or for athletes, actually a wart. Because most sports medicine to me nowadays seems like it's treating ingrown toenails, bloody toenails, or people getting corns and calluses and making them be able to have to wear shoes that are 2 or 3 times their size just to accommodate these things. And why should you have to do that if you can just get rid of them? So we found that with these microwave emitters, you can actually get rid of just corns on the foot, which has been a game changer for people, because usually they got to come into the podiatrist like every 3 weeks and have these corns shaved down, whereas you pop this on them, it sometimes just goes away right away, which is great. So we do a lot of this now. And then if you look down here, this is my Amran 200D, and because we're using slow motion videography, I'm always having to put the Amran on the treadmill. Isn't even plugged in, no. But I put this on the treadmill, and this just gives me a much crisper image of the person's feet. This thing is super powerful. I probably should have a diffuser on it, but we'll see later. And then this is our new X-ray machine. Honestly, X-ray platform technology really hasn't changed in like 20, 30 years. I remember in residency, my residency director had one from like the 80s, and this one looks almost exactly the same, except the plates are now wireless, and it's a new paint job. But then that digitally comes over here, over through the cloud. You can come on over here. And then this is actually my ankle. We took this to check where I broke my ankle here. As you can see, it's pretty good. This is an accessory bone of mine. You can see these lines are nice and regular. That means no jagged lines. That means that wasn't part of the break. That's just regular. And if you see this heel spur right back here, I have no pain in my Achilles. I never have. That just shows you that heel spurs don't necessarily cause pain. So yeah, I guess we can just push out, and then, so if you just want to back up a little bit. So this is kind of like the whole space. When patients come in, they obviously can sit here, and we'll talk about everything. And then I'm considering getting a little green in here for golfers. And I might actually get a basketball hoop I can take outside with me for basketball players as well. But yeah, so this is the brand new studio. I'll be doing a lot of videos back here, and obviously I'll be treating patients here as well. So, all right, hope you like the studio tour. I'll see you in the next video.